Yeah.
Hi and good evening, members of Builders and Co-Creators. How are you doing? We have missed you. Welcome back to this second season of the Builders Baraza. We did have to hang our boots a little bit so that we could organize ourselves and get our topics together and get the right panelists or right interviewees. And we are confident that we have found some really good ones. So you're welcome back. I hope that your projects are going well. I hope that you can register progress and report some good work on your projects. Those of you who are building, I pray that you are staying on course. I hope you're paying your fundis. I hope you're giving feedback. Mwangi and I are back here, and today we are discussing the speculated real estate bubble burst. A lot of people have spoken about the real estate bubble burst, and we don't know. We are speculating because we started hearing this thing over 10 years ago, and now we are here to discuss and to just check the character of a real estate bubble burst, so that the specialists can tell us if there's really a burst, or is it a speculation, or is it new vocabulary that Kenyans have gotten that now they want to exploit? So what should we look out for? What has happened elsewhere? How was it remedied? How long did it take? What should renters, buyers, landlords do and expect in the short, middle, and long term in a situation of a real estate bubble burst? So that's our subject today. I do not need to introduce my co-moderator, Mwangi Wi-Fi. Mwangi, would you like to say hello?
Yeah. Hi, members. We've missed you. It's been actually 3 months since we did the last live video, and today one
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Not months.
Yeah.
Is it weeks or months?
No, it's not a month. It's 3 weeks. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, and today we actually have also we have new audience from. We also have people watching us from the Glam My Home Facebook group. So these are guys doing interior design. They'll also be part of this Builders Baraza from now onwards, and we are looking forward to actually have interactive session in future. So that's all. Celine, take it.
Yeah, and before we introduce our guests, obviously there is the 1 minute for housekeeping. Our YouTube channel, Builders and Co-Creators, kindly subscribe so that you can be seeing these videos later and anything that we post there. Secondly, we have our Builders and Co-Creators page. Please like it, so that because soon we will have to fully move there, and it is important that we do not leave you behind. So please click on the like so that you can see the other videos that we are posting there. The other thing that Mwangi has mentioned that I think is very important and that I should reiterate is the fact that we actually acquired the Glam My Home group, and reason we did this is because we wanted to strengthen the interior decor and finishing part of our audience and discussions, and we thought rather than buy a sausage, that's wrong. Rather than create a new group,
Yeah.
perhaps we just acquire a group that is already has its membership. So we, as I said before, we are cleaning it up so that we can get things as serious as they are in the Builders and Co-Creators group. So please, if you're not a member of that page, perhaps you do, because then you can actually be updated. And today we are broadcasting live on both the Builders and Co-Creators and the Glam My Home. So I guess one day we bring forth our guests so that we don't lose too much time, and introduce. And Mwangi will introduce our guests.
Yes, absolutely. So before we go ahead, if you are watching this video, you can actually be able to share. This time we have a share button. You can share elsewhere to your friends on your timeline or to other groups. You can also invite members to actually be part of this live session. So we are introducing our members. This is Charles Ndegwa. He's an advocate of the High Court and also a real estate enthusiast. We also have Max. Max is from Mahiga Homes. And we have Onesimus, also from Mahiga Homes. Welcome, guys, to the Builders Baraza. This is the first episode of the second season. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Yes, Charles is a resident advocate. He advises us. He helps us with information. We will always refer to him when we are talking about issues to do with land and development. things that have to do with regulation that we may not be too privy to, Charles is always at hand. But today we are also inviting two panelists from Mahiga Homes. Mahiga, if you do not know what they do, are developers of real estate. I will let them say what they do, but quickly, I know that they buy chunks of land, they subdivide, they sell housing off plan, then they market it to you so that you can deposit money and they build your house according to your specifications. And that today is represented by Onesimus and Max. I don't know if one of you wants to extend that definition of what you do at Mahiga Homes. Max and Onesimus?
So thank you. Hello,
Okay.
our viewers. I know most of you have seen Max Mahiga Homes, always on Facebook, always on everywhere. So Mahiga Homes, we are simply developers, and our main aim is to provide affordable homes to Kenyans, those who are in Kenya and those who are away. We normally do off-plan, and most of you have seen our projects. We have delivered several projects, others are under construction, and we are still doing it, and we promise to deliver the homes to you. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Degwa.
Yes.
Welcome. We are discussing the bubble burst, and so I'll ask questions as we go along, guys. As you know, you got the drift. So perhaps we start, and you know, way that we take this forward so we don't last too long is when I ask a question. Mangia, can hear some echo.
No, I think we are good. Just proceed.
Okay, so when I ask a question, there will be no order of who responds. Obviously, Charles, if there is an aspect of the law or regulation that you'd like to add on, please feel free. And I guess I start by asking our panelists what the housing and real estate trends have been in Kenya, say in the last 10 or 20 years. What characterizes the trend in the housing and real estate space in Kenya?
So
carry on, Mark or Onesimus. Carry on.
Okay, I think I can. So to start on that, real estate when you look at real estate, it is directly proportional to population. So as the population, as you know, in Kenya, in the last few years, there is in the last 2011, we were 45 million people. Now, right now, as we talk, we are approximately 52 million. So that is the gap of 7. Okay, is it from 45 to 52? That's a gap of 7 million people. So these 7 million people need to be housed, or need a house, or each and every person needs home. So the trends in Kenya in the last few years, we can see population has been increasing, and as the population has been increasing, real estate has been booming. Like, people have been looking for house, demand for house is increasing as we increase the population. So I can say that the trend is that real estate is, for some instance, is doing good, and there is increase in the number of houses required by the population that is growing each and every day.
Okay, and yeah, Max.
Yes, and on
Just to add on that.
Yeah, go on, Dego.
Carry on.
All right, just to add on what Onesimus has said, real estate is also characterized by two other things. One, the regulation and the law that exists to date. And the other aspect is also the economical position or the economic status of our country. For example, recently, one of the agenda force by the president is housing. And with that agenda came the housing fund. Although it has a few issues here and there is a court order that has stopped its operation, but it's a main thing that is also going to affect the real estate industry and how that industry has been carrying on there before. Yes. Okay.
Max, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to add on what the two have said. Due to the growth of the country, or less the economy of the country, to some factors like provision of infrastructures, let me say real estate has really improved. Because I can give a very brief example. Those who know Roaka, those who know areas like Tangela, those who know the area like Kangudo Road, those areas sometimes ago, some years ago, like 10 years ago, they used to be built, nothing else. But now, most developers, most people have really settled in that area. So people have improved the area because of availability of infrastructure and other factors that the government has provided. So I can say real estate or less the housing has really improved. It has growing well.
Okay, so we are talking about development in terms of number of houses.
Yes.
How about the demand for the same? Is there demand for a specific type of housing over another? Or is there a type of housing in the development that people are looking for more than there are others?
On that question, on the type of houses people are looking for, I think that is defined or less it's determined by the prices of the houses. For instance, according to the statistics, if you can check very well on the statistics, 21% of Kenyans, especially in Nairobi, 21% are those people who live. 21% are those people who live in one bedroom. 31% live in two bedroom. 42% or 21% are the one that live in one bedroom or three bedroom and above. So the kind of houses they are looking for is determined by the prices. Because for instance, a house that is going for 15,000 shillings, you don't expect someone who has just finished, or less. A house going for 50,000, you don't expect someone who has finished campus to settle in that house. That person is probably looking for employment. So the kind of house that people are looking for is determined by the income they are getting. Because you find someone who will settle for a single room that is going for 3,000. Once that person gets employed in a better job, improves to a 15,000 house, and it goes like that, until to a point that that person is able to own the house.
I see. Yeah. I see. Now let's talk about again this demand and supply. Is there adequate housing for Kenyans? Are there enough houses for Kenyans today?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. The housing industry, there are not enough houses for Kenyans. And you realize that one of the constitutional requirements or one of the constitutional provisions is that there shall be enough housing for Kenyans. And that's where the president got Agenda 4 from. That provision of houses for Kenyans is constitutionalized. Kenyans should live in adequate and very good conditions. This was picked from the South African Constitution, where it provides that deplorable conditions, where people are living in deplorable conditions, is inhumane, so to speak. So when we talk of whether Kenya have adequate housing, we are still, I believe, we are not yet even about 40% to provide housing to Kenyans. And the private sector is the one that is so much doing this in terms of trying to provide housing for Kenyans. And then now the government has started chipping in so that they can also play that role adequately.
So, but Mwangi, Charles, are you saying,
yes,
you're saying that there is not enough housing for Kenyans? Are you saying that the houses don't exist? Or are you saying that the houses exist, but Kenyans can't afford it?
The houses are there, but Kenyans are not able to afford the housing that we have today. And that's why the government is looking for affordable housing. Not only housing, but affordable housing. Because even at the areas where we have houses, and I'm sure Nesmas and Max will confirm this, is houses range from prices, a 3-bedroom house in upper market, you need to have over 5 or 6 million. How many Kenyans are going to afford that? The other aspect is, thank God that we are now going to have the interest rate capping scrapped off. That rate capping has been an inhibition to even young people getting loans or facilities from banks, and also building their own houses. For example, buying a plot and constructing a house. So there are houses which are being put up, but the economic status of Kenyans generally is also a little bit low for them to afford the houses that are available.
I see. Max.
I can say that urbanization has taken a very major role in the affordability of houses. You find that in Kenya, in major towns, you find a lot of people are moving to the major towns, that they are living out other places. So you might find that houses are adequate in other places, but generally in the urban centers, you may find that the demand is quite high and sometimes inadequate, because the number of people who are there are many. We have a lot of people in major towns.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about the distribution of the housing, available housing, vis-a-vis the distribution of the population, right?
Yes, the distribution of housing is a bit is inconsistent. So you cannot say that we have adequate houses in some places and inadequate. So the consistency is a bit differing. That's my point.
Okay.
To add on the same, about whether we have houses or enough houses for people, I don't think there's any urban location that we have enough houses. For instance, if you take the percentage of people who own, according to the latest statistics, if you take the percentage of people who own their houses in the rural areas, it is 82%. 82% of those people who live in rural areas, they have their own homes. But when you come to the urban area, only 18% that have their houses. So the rest are depending on rentals. And so in short, it means we have inadequate houses. And also, it doesn't mean that we have hakuna nyumba. We have houses. But now, the prices for the house, as Dego has said, not most people can afford. Not most people
I get it. So the biggest gap that what I'm taking out is that the distribution of housing vis-a-vis the distribution of population is there's an imbalance there. Secondly, there is houses for people to buy, but they cannot afford it either to rent or to buy. And thirdly, and very importantly, is that it's not just housing. The bigger gap is in affordable housing, which is why, Charles is saying that this is the source of one of the big agenda by the president, that affordable housing be underlined. Okay, so I guess we will move on to the next question. And we have talked about the development of real estate, the fact that there are houses. And I'm wondering, is the development of this housing that is out there consistent? Is it supported by the Kenyan economy? Because why is it, for instance, that, I guess let's make it straight. Is the development of housing consistent with the economy? Or is there some imbalance somewhere?
Yeah, I think there is imbalance somewhere, because if you can check how the real estate is thriving, it's moving very fast, but the economy is lagging behind. Because, when we are determining the economy of a country, it is not only determined by one industry. Real estate is one industry. We have other industries like agriculture, it's another industry. We have tourism, it's another industry. So real estate is doing very well. And actually, if real estate was the only factor that is determining the GDP of the country, I think Kenya would be very far. Because in Kenya, I can say real estate is moving very well. But now, due to other factors, or less negative factors like corruption, we are having, that's one of the main challenges we are having in the country. They are pulling the general economy behind. So I can say our economy is not moving as supposed to be compared to the real estate.
Okay, to add on that,
but how?
I can say that you see there is a lot of localization of farms. Farms are in the same area. Like you find that in some areas, you'll find that houses are in demand. But in some, you find that the houses are not in demand. The same house you can get for 30,000 in Nairobi, you can get the same house at 10,000 in Murang'a. So that means that the government needs to do something about localization of farm. Like subsidize, give free land in other areas so that the economy can grow consistently in all areas. Because if you find demand in one place, that means one part of the economy will be lagging behind. So I think the consistency is brought about by the kind of infrastructure we have and where we are setting up our farms. So it is very important that the localization of farm be so that employment can be created in all parts of the country, so that people don't have to move to one place and look for employment. So the same people who can come to Nairobi and work here can work in Murang'a in a certain factory that has been brought up there, so that we can create consistent demand and supply of houses in the entire country.
I understand. So this is localization so that demand can be standardized across, yeah? Yes, and obviously that comes with a lot of other things. I mean, if you want me to work in Murang'a and pay the same amount as in Nairobi, is there a job for me in Murang'a that can pay the same amount as a job in Nairobi, for instance? So, I mean, it's a long shot, but obviously it is doable. Yes, Charles?
Just to add something that I think is vital. Yeah, I agree with Onesimus and Max that the economy is not supporting the private sector and also acting as a catalyst for affordable housing for Kenyans. Why do I say this? I say this because when the president comes up with affordable housing as one of his agenda, there should be the law and the policies to ensure that this happens. But this is only happening at the level of government, where the government itself is the key player to provide this housing. But this policy and this law is not in any way supporting the private sector. We should have seen a reduction in probably materials, maybe if it's cement, if it's iron sheet, everything that we require for building. We should have seen this policy going ahead to even supporting the private sector to at least also create and provide affordable housing to Kenyans. So the economy itself is being dictated by so many things: the legal framework, the policy set up by the government, and this act as an inhibition to to provision of affordable housing. If they do not support the private sector, then it means this will always be a mirage, because the government only cannot provide the housing to Kenyans.
Exactly. In an instance and in a country where a lot of housing development is done by the private sector, it's the government should actually take the mantle to support the development of to support the private sector in this development. The only alternative is that then the government should run ahead and provide more of the housing. If it's not going to support the private sector, then they have to come to the table and do what they are supposed to do. This is really what we are saying. Sidio?
Yeah.
All right. So let us now face the elephant in the room. The real estate bubble burst. Yeah. What is it? How would you define it? And what characterizes it? Or is it just one of these new things that Kenyans keep coming up with? We talk about the bubble burst. Is it another thing, vitu ni tofauti kwa ground, or is it a real issue? What is a real estate bubble burst? Can you help us define it and characterize it?
I think I can answer it the way you have just said. Vitu kwa ground is different. Bubble burst is a situation where the demand for housing is very high. As you know from understanding, when the demand is high and the supply is low, the prices will also go high.
Yes.
So people are supplying, people are building homes, yes, but now because of the demand is higher than the price, the demand is higher than the supply, the prices go high. So such that to an extent that people are unable to afford the houses that are being provided. And that's why you'll find when you go to the areas like Kilimani, you'll find empty houses. When you go to areas like Lavington, you find empty spaces there because people cannot afford those houses. And now when this bubble burst, people will now decide utapata mtu ameamua, let me just continue renting because I cannot afford that house. I think that is a simple way I can define it.
Yeah, Charles, would you like to define it in a different way or add your voice to it?
I agree with Max that it begins from where the demand is very high, then the supply is low, and then there are no enough houses. The economy does not support the people to afford those houses. Then all of a sudden it comes to a contraction where now the demand also goes high and the supply is extremely high and there are no resources. So the bubble burst is simply something that causes the houses to be in oversupply, and the market is not able to afford those houses.
Yeah. So we are saying that the character of a real estate bubble burst is where there are too many houses which people cannot afford, and yet there is need. There is a need for housing. The houses are there, but there is an imbalance such that people cannot reach those houses.
Yes.
Am I defining it right? Or is something I'm missing?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, I can top up on that by giving a characteristic of the same. You see, if you go around Nairobi, we have so many empty malls. Like I've been in Thika Road, we have so many malls, and most of them are empty shells. So you find that they are available, the houses are available, but people cannot afford them. So this is creating a situation that we are calling a bubble burst, where we have the resources, the resources are sleeping, and people need those resources, but they cannot afford them. So these are bringing a very big challenge in the real estate market because money is lying just there.
Yeah. So really, we are saying that developers have put in their money and developed. The houses are available, but then they're not reachable in terms of cost of buying and of renting. By
the demand is there.
The demand is there, but the supply. Wait.
The supply.
So we are saying that there is demand and there is supply.
Yes.
Yes.
The demand and the supply, they are both at par. But people are willing, we define demand as the willingness and able. It is defined by two. You are willing and able. So the demand is incomplete. People are willing.
This is my point. Exactly. So we are saying that there is demand and there is supply, but the character of the demand of the supply is not met by the character of demand, which means I want something, it's available, but I cannot afford it. That is what it is. So what then it comes up to is that developers have built houses which are just there, empty. When people afford to buy them, people that can afford to buy them, because they are putting a lot of their money, they want to rent them out at a certain rate, and then ordinary Kenyan cannot afford to pay that rent. What then happens?
Because of the cost of
Onesimus, don't talk over me because then people can't hear us. Yeah.
Okay.
People
sorry for that.
To talk. So what happens is that the houses are there, even when people buy them and they're paying mortgages. One, either they remain empty, or two, they are rented out at very, very low prices. So we are saying that these are some of the characteristics of a bubble burst.
Yeah, and one on the same, when we are talking about this bubble bursting, the situation where now the developers have the houses, and this, when you go, for instance, when you go to a mall and you are told if you want to rent this, it goes for 35,000 per month or 45,000. When the developers, those people who want to rent the house, when they realize that we have plenty of them, I can go to this mall, I can go to this mall. When they realize that, they will get the power of bargaining. And Akwambia, if you are not taking 12,000, I will go to this place. So the developers will now start and will get to a point that they will just take what is on the table. If the person want to rent the house, akisema 25,000, you'll have to take it, because where will you take the house? Where will you take that room for renting? So it's a bust where those people who want to rent the houses, they have more power. They can bargain more. Yeah. So developers, some of them are 2 years to get their profit. You find it going to 4 years. So if you had taken a loan from the bank, you find it's a challenge to pay. I guess that's the point that bubble bursts.
Exactly. So this is why I say that it is a buyer's. Onesimus, please don't move your camera too much because it's affecting the viewers' like perception of us. You're moving your camera and you keep moving, so it's a bit disturbing to the viewers. You can just keep still for a while. So we are saying that therefore it is a buyer's and a renter's world out there. It's like when you go to a mall and you want a shop. I am aware of instances where actually the renter actually determines the rent, and in fact the buyer or the owner even extends a half-year discount so that they can get rent in, and that is because the supply is there, the product is there, but many people cannot afford it, so they'd rather get little than have their properties lying fallow. That is what you're saying, Max, isn't it?
Okay, Salid, maybe I want to get in at this point about this housing bubble. From what I've heard is you guys have said it's about when the prices go up, and then you have also said that the tenants or the people looking to buy the houses, they find them very costly and therefore they cannot afford, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then that means as a result of high prices and competition, therefore me as a customer I can't afford. But then I was looking at doesn't that sound like just the normal curve of demand and supply? And then I was just asking myself, what about maybe the bubble maybe will burst when you see the example you've given for a mall. The first time a mall was built in Kenya, we found that most people rushed to actually go and rent those stalls, right? And at that time they were available, and it's not that they were not affordable. They were affordable, but they rushed there and booked themselves stores. And then other malls started coming up, right?
Yeah.
Which can be explained by the fact that the investors saw this concept of mall, and then they saw actually this it has good returns maybe in a short period of time. And then they also rushed to actually put up other malls around, right? That didn't mean that people still couldn't afford. They could afford probably, but now having too many investors pouring this money in the market and then putting up everywhere the malls, that means the malls become they are in oversupply, right? It's not that they are not available, the space is available, and I'm very sure also it's not that us as customers or buyers we can't afford. We can, but again, I'm looking at that concept and I'm not really convinced, because there are also other factors playing like in that concept of mall, like for instance technological advancement and e-commerce. They're also driving the malls empty, right? Is that so? So maybe in that concept of the mall, I can't quite tell, like maybe there is that bubble yet, but maybe it's being affected by other factors. Then when it comes to housing bubble, there's another factor. Maybe I was actually doing some research earlier, and I came this factor that there is also an aspect of speculation in a housing bubble. Yes, there's rise in demand, and then there is also rise in speculation, therefore leading to investors rushing to actually pour money into that market, putting up houses so that they can get buyers, right? So I don't know if you know about the part of speculation. I was expecting maybe you could mention about what about speculation, because we've seen investors rushing to actually invest in real estate. So that's why we are having so many real estate companies around putting up homes, selling land. I don't know about that, if you have anything to talk about on speculation.
Yeah, Mongi, I got you very well. And what I think, you are addressing it in the right way. Personally, I don't think in Kenya we have the bubble burst is there. I don't think, because bubble burst will come in a situation where, in Kenya we have a very high number of people who want housing. When you move, if we leave the example of the mall and move to those people who are looking for homes to stay, we have very many people who are looking for houses. So I don't think we have bubble burst in Kenya. as it has happened previously in other countries. But I think it's something that we need to watch, and not only us, but the government itself. Because if the government can open in those areas that look to be less developed, if the government can open those areas and people to go and develop there, of course they develop houses that are affordable. That's why you see areas like Joska, areas like Tengera there, Ruiru, Ukondani. Those are the areas that they are less developed. If the government can open the roads, can open the infrastructure and everything, people will go develop there the houses that Kenyans can afford. So I don't think the bubble bath is there in Kenya. So according to me, speculation, it will be there if the government will not develop those areas. But personally, as we talk now, the bubble burst has not hit Kenya yet.
Max, I'm a bit confused because we have described the character of a bubble burst, and the Kenyan economy and housing and real estate ticks all boxes. And then you're saying that you don't believe that there's a bubble burst yet. I think I don't know where the gap is, and I think what Mwangi brings it in terms of speculation is a big deal right there. I don't know how. I don't know the meat around it and how to address it, but I'm a bit confused when you say that there's no bubble burst in Kenya, that it might be coming soon. And yet currently, the Kenyan economy and the Kenyan housing real estate is ticking all boxes of the characters of bubble burst.
True. The characters are showing up, right? When we check as they have said about the malls. When you go to most areas, you find empty houses, empty malls. When we talked about the government providing the houses, as Dego had said, if this government can control the cost of construction to be lower, to lower the level of construction, most developers will be able to develop or else build houses that most people can afford. You get so, and that one will lower that gap of bubble burst.
Okay, to add on that, I can say that you see, like speculation, the way Mwangi has put it, is that people are speculating in one sector, like in the malls. They are speculating in the malls, and I guess that there is a peak for every industry. So in the mall industry, it has reached a peak. Those people, because of the distribution of income, is another factor. You find that a lot of Kenyans who are earning a lot of money, they have their houses, they have all the needs they have, but there is another portion of Kenyans who can't even afford, who are living below $1 a day. So you find that there is a huge gap in the income among in the country, such that there are people who are contented and they have their houses, and the houses that they can afford still, they can afford an extra house, but they don't need a house. So those people who need a house, they earn less. So you find that I think that's where the bubble burst is coming from, that people, the distribution of income is a bit wanting in Kenya. You find a lot of people, some people are earning a lot of money and others are earning less, such that they cannot afford the houses.
So Charles, I hear you, Nesmas. Charles, would you like to chime in and just help us triangulate around, wealth quantile, distribution of wealth, around speculation, around, is there, I would like us to talk about these things and then come to a point where we are saying that there is a current bubble burst in the real estate, or it is coming soon, or it is a fallacy. What would you say?
Well, my view on that is speculation. You will not find a developer building for speculation. Developers will put up houses and they put them in the market for sale. The aspect of speculation for me comes with the individual persons or citizens who will be buying parcels of land and trying to put up their own homes in areas like Ruiru, Kitengela, and other places. When you look at where we have apartments today, so to speak, Limani, Westlands, and those other areas, there are so many of those houses which are empty today. And not only empty, but also people who purchased them maybe 2-3 years down the line, they are also facing auctioneers coming to their neck trying to recover the money that was advanced to them while they were purchasing. So for me, if we are not, if Onesimus thinks we are not there, I think for me we are already there. The bubble burst is there, and the magnitude is going to hit us extremely, because people are being auctioned day in, day out because of the mortgage they took to purchase those apartments. So for me, the bubble burst is there already.
So you're saying that part of the reason why people are being auctioned is because they put in money with the hope that somebody would rent that house and it would support them in paying the mortgage. But then the houses are so highly cost in terms of rent that Kenyans cannot afford it. And therefore the purchaser cannot service the loan, and therefore the bank comes for the property. That is what you're saying. And for you, like for me, that is a characteristic, that is a sign of a bubble burst. So always, guys, we don't have to agree. There will be people who think it is here now or it's coming soon, and people who think it's not here now, and we appreciate all perspectives. I think we should move this forward, yeah? How whether there's a bubble burst here or not, how does a bubble burst in the real estate space or industry affect the economy, if at all?
So to answer on that, I can say that a bubble burst, when you have a lot of capital lying down and it's not used to build the economy or to contribute to the economy, like we have a lot of money that is stalling around. You know, to construct those houses, money was put in, and that money is idle. So we have part of money that is stalling, that is idle. So that brings the economy down, the circulation of the currency, the money that is supposed to circulate and create the multiplier effect and create salary for people, capital. So you will find that we have a lot of idle capital that is dragging the economy backwards. So that is one of the factor that I can say, that's one of the ways that I can say this bubble burst is affecting the economy.
Okay, let's hear from the others. Does the bubble burst affect the economy, Charles? Should Kenyan be worried?
Yes, it affects the economy extremely, just like it has been put. The other thing is that when the houses have not been occupied, and when the money has been put in putting up those houses, when people have taken loans to build those houses and also buy those houses, because the aspect of capital being put to build the houses, there's also the aspect of people putting in money to purchase those houses. And when those houses are put on auction, there is no an immediate buyer. Two pointers of crisis here. Money has been expended to build, and money has someone has taken a facility from the bank to buy the house, and the developer or the auctioneer is now calling up for the facility to be repaid, but there is no one to buy that house also at that point, and the interest and the bank rates are also going high. So the economy is affected. It's suffering from double tragedy, whereby the money spent to build and the interest increasing for the person who bought the house, and yet he cannot pay. For example, we have had several instances where a house is being sold or is on auction on several number of months, and when it goes to the public auction, it cannot even meet the reserved price. So what then next happens is that the bank is forced to at least restructure the mortgage to a level where this mortgagee is going to afford to pay this loan. So this affects the economy extremely.
I get it. There's a lot of non-performing loans. The people who are actually managing to pay are not getting support from renters, and therefore they are strained. And so the circulation of money, the value chain, or is it the supply chain in the housing from development all the way to renting and payment of rent is affected. It's not smooth enough to support the economy. Yes, Max, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to add on.
Sorry, I need to put on my charger. Sorry.
Max, carry on.
I wanted to add on the same. I think it is affecting the economy really, because as a developer, unless I can give a very good example with Mahiga Homes, when you are making the economy, generally the economy grows when me, you, and someone else is making profit. But when I build a house, no one is buying that house, and probably I had taken some money from the bank, and that house is empty. Then it means I will not be getting any profit. I'll be working on the loss. And an economy grows when the cash flow is there. I'm making some coin as a profit. So the profit I'm making, I'm able to develop somewhere else. I'm able to build a house somewhere else. So if probably most developers, most of these companies that are developing, if they could be building houses and no one is buying the houses, then it means there's no growth. There's no flow of the cash in the economy, and that means the bubble burst is there. No one is settling for the house. No one is renting. No one is buying. Then it means the economy will be affected negatively and critically.
Absolutely, because nobody is really making money. The bank that is loaning you is not making money because the loans are not performing. The developer who has put in money is not making money because it is taking too long to sell. The buyer who has bought the house is not getting a renter, and therefore they are paying money and nothing is coming back. And the renter who is at the end of the distribution chain cannot afford the houses even though they're available. Really, if we look at those things, we know that the economy is affected. And if real estate, major as it is in the evolution of an economy, is suffering, then really we know that it almost equates to there being a bubble burst, and Kenyans should actually worry given the contribution of real estate in the development of this economy. So let us move this forward. Let us move this.
Yeah, just before we proceed, Max, what are you saying?
And a very important point. When all these people are not making money, they are unable to pay the taxes. That's why now the economy is affected. And that's why you see most developers work on a pesa, but the government, the KRA are still looking for them. They cannot pay the taxes. You think they have very many buildings, but actually what they are getting, they are not even able to pay the taxes. And that's why the economy of the country goes negative.
Yeah, revenue generation for the government is definitely affected. If you're not making money, you can't pay taxes. And the government, the biggest revenue generator for the government is through taxation. So I hear you, Max. Thank you for adding in your voice. Mwangi, you were about to say something?
Yes, I was about to actually summarize that maybe from what they have said, but in a larger maybe perspective. I want to look at 3 points, maybe how a housing bubble will affect an economy. And I'm looking at it as, when we defined it as it's a situation where the prices of houses go up due to demand. That means there is also a rise in consumer spending. So that can also relate to also an economic growth, because the more people spend, that means the more jobs people get, the more there is exchange of funds. So that means there is an economic growth. Also, on the other side, when the prices go down due to oversupply, it also means that houses lose value, and the owners of the house, if maybe you took a mortgage, that means the mortgage, it becomes expensive. Now for the homeowners, it becomes expensive for them. And also, I'm also looking at it as a housing bubble being a way of also to redistribute wealth in an economy, because something that where you have consumer spending and also you have consumer confidence being brought down because of the bubble, I think it somehow redistributes that the wealth of an economy. I think that those are the 3 points, Saline, I had. I think we can proceed.
Okay, I agreed, Mwangi. I see your perspective. Now, we said that it is a buyer's world out there. I have only this amount. If you sell me your house, fine. If you won't sell me your house, then I will go elsewhere. And it's also a renter's haven. They say, I'm not spending more than 50,000 shillings on that house. If you can't, you can go to hell. And obviously, owners of houses are left wondering, they let go of the 50,000 and chase it for the rest of the year. I don't know when the next renter will come, or should I take it? So really, the people who seem to be having it going well are renters and buyers. Landlords and owners of houses are suffering. So my question is this something that Kenyans should be celebrating? Or is it a temporary party and it's going to catch up with us soon? Is this something, what should we expect? Is this something that Kenyans should be worried about, or that they should be rejoicing about, given that less than 10% of houses in the urban areas are owned, houses in the urban areas are owned by less than 10% of Kenyans? Is this something to celebrate?
Okay, for the bigger picture, for the bigger Kenyan, or for the common mwananchi, I don't think this is something to celebrate. Because also, those who are enjoying the bubble burst right now are those people with the money, like the smaller percentage. So the larger percentage in terms of money that is lying behind, that is lying idle. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that money is going into the pocket of the few, and those who can afford can dictate the terms now. But in the long run, if we focus on the long run, we'll see that people are going to suffer. The economy itself, the taxation, because people in the long run, the money that is coming from that is going to lie from that is going to okay, let me change the language. The money that is lying idle is going to affect the economy, because it can be in other sectors, actually developing other jobs, other opportunities for people, employment. And as you know, Kenya right now, we have an employment challenge. So I think the money, it's not something to celebrate. It will be dragging the economy behind from the long.
So you're saying, Onesmus, you're saying that because money is lying idle, it means that there's only so much money. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a certain aspect where that money could have been cultivated, which would make lives better, easier for other people. Area is lacking investment, in which case you may be rejoicing here, but somewhere else you are suffering and you don't seem to realize it.
In the long run, that's when you come to realize that this money is idling here, and it could be in another sector, providing employment, creating goods and services that can be used to make lives better.
I see. What do the others think, Charles? Is this something to celebrate?
Absolutely not. It's not something about and celebrate. For two, there is no money. There is no money in the economy. Banks cannot loan. Then other areas are also they are asleep. And that means from or angle, the banks will not even have money because they are not making money. Give it the hospitalization, all those present in the sector to the bank to employment.
Yeah, and obviously when loans are not performing, what it then means is that banks will have to distribute that risk to other other borrowers. So what it means is that the loan that you're currently getting at 18%, soon you'll be getting at 21% because somebody is defaulting somewhere, and that somebody is defaulting because they took a loan to get a mortgage which they cannot service because nobody can rent the house. So these two gentlemen, I'm yet to get to Marx, but what these two gentlemen is saying, that it is absolutely nothing to celebrate. And so I've seen many discussions or discourses on social media particularly, where people are saying that, sahi landlords wameshikwa shauri yao vile walikuwa wanaringa na nyumba. I've seen a lot of that kind of thing. And the reason I ask this question is so that we can open the minds of our members that, look, it could be temporary or it could be a long term, but remember, if the money is not performing in the real estate space, something else is suffering, and that something else affects you. So when you celebrate, when you dig that hole, don't dig too deep, because chances are you will be falling into it yourself. Max, do you have any other thing to add in?
Yeah, what I think, it's not something we should celebrate about, but if I put myself in the shoes of someone who has rented a house in Kilimani, paying 300 or 200,000 per month, that person, if you put yourself in the shoes of that person, he can celebrate this bubble burst, because that person will sit and do the calculation. If I'm paying 300,000 per month, and I can go to a company that is developing somewhere and own a house, my own house, at 3 million, paying 1 year, be paying the 300. Within 1 year, I have the house. So that person in a different way will be celebrating, because within 1 year you
Yeah,
leave the land.
they will be celebrating. My question is, should they be celebrating? Because now we are talking to you as experts in the industry. They may be celebrating, but the question is that celebration going to be long term? Is it reasonable for them to celebrate? Should they be, or should they be aware of other things?
Good. No, no, that's why I say, if you put yourself in the shoes of that single person there, he or she will be celebrating. But generally, as a country or the economy, the government itself, there's no celebration there, because you'll celebrate for 1 year, but it will affect you personally. So I guess the government should be at the forefront to develop those areas that are not developed, so that the developers can go there and build affordable homes that once you buy, you will not regret. You get someone to rent at a good price, and come on, go umechukua loan, you will not, nyumba yako haitakaa bila mtu, so you get the profit at the end of it all.
All right, gentlemen, I'm aware of time, and I just wanted to move this forward and ask if there is anything anywhere that can save a bubble burst and bring us back to the balance where the banks are making money, the mortgagers, like the borrowers, are making money, the renters are not paying too much, where everybody is happy. Is there anything that can save a bubble burst that has happened or that is about to happen?
Can save a bubble burst. One is policies that are being, they should be friendly not only to the government but to also the private sector should be able to engage the market with modules. For example, the National Housing they system. As a tenant, you are paying rent goes towards pay of that house. The private sector is to adopt tenants at once the house, encouraging even the middle class the situation where they can identify a house agreement and with pressure that with this transaction of to tenant or reviving the real estate sector.
I get it. Okay. What do the gentlemen from Mahiga think?
And also, I would say the government policy should come up with policies where Kenyans or those people who want to own houses, they can get loans at low interest rates, such that you can take that loan, buy a house, and you are able to finance your loan comfortably depending on your income. And also, provision of employment should be another thing, because most people, they have the will to get the house, they are willing to get home, but they don't have the employment, or they have no income, or the incomes what they are getting is low. So I guess the government should work on the two factors to prevent these things from bursting and affecting the economy negatively.
So employment creation, change of government policies, support so that people can get affordable loans, and change of payment structures so that for instance, as Charles is saying, have a module by the private sector, have a module where renters can actually, the rent that you pay goes towards the ownership rather than you paying rent for life. Because a lot of Kenyans and a lot of people all over the world, they do not want to pay a high rent because they say, hiyo ni pesa imezama. You pay, say, 30,000 shillings and it has gone into nothing at the end of the month. You're breathing hard, you're still struggling, and the money is gone to somebody else. So what Charles is proposing, and which I agree with fully, is perhaps the private sector should engage in such a way that their payment or repayment modules are such that people are paying rent towards ownership, right? Yes, Onesimus, you were about to say something?
Yes, I was about to say something, and it's about, I will repeat my point, because you see, infrastructure, the localization of infrastructure. Like if you look at the superhighway, the Thika superhighway, you'll find that there are so many malls, there are so many, like look at KU main campus. Let me give you an example with KU main campus and Ruiru campus. They are so close. Like we have the main campus and the Ruiru campus at the same place. In fact, those should be, like the Ruiru campus should be in Kiambu somewhere. Like I was in Egerton the other day. The other day, a 2-bedroom house in Egerton is costing 8,000. Here in KU, in Kahawa, you'll find that a 2-bedroom house is 16 to 17,000. So it's unaffordable. The demand is there. They are creating demand that cannot be afforded because they are building the infrastructure so close to one another. So they should redistribute the infrastructure so that people can actually, someone in let's say like the KU main campus is taken to Ukambani, you'll find that people who will develop houses there, they'll have a rational price for the house, so people can afford and the area can grow. So that is another major challenge that I see the government doing. Like they are concentrating the infrastructure in one place and creating demand.
Yeah. So so you're talking about, Onesimus, to cut you short, you're talking about the sort of the redistribution of infrastructure by the government.
Yes.
So that people see that there is need to go and build a campus in Matu rather than have it in the city, because once it is there, there'll be development involved, And this is, Onesimus, wait. Wait, when we both talk, none of us can hear the other, and neither can our viewers. So we are saying, therefore, isn't this what the development should be in the counties? Isn't this why there was ugatuzi, so that our current constitution provides for monies that are allocated to the counties so that the counties can develop, on their own? Is it a role of the central government, or is it something that can be devolved to the county government? Charles, what do you say? Charles?
This is something that the county is and you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Charles.
This is the county government.
Okay, guys, I think because we are beyond 1 hour, I think we should bring this to a close quickly. But before we do, we can't hear you too well, Charles. So do you want to come up again? Hello?
Saying this thing that meant as one of the things, because you can hear.
Yes.
Hi, Charles. I think Charles is receiving a call. Maybe there's a call coming through on his phone.
So,
all right. Yes, Mark?
I think we want to bring in the aspect that the county government should be responsible for that. For example, if I want to go and develop somewhere like Kangudo Road, and there are no roads, me as a developer, let's assume there's no water, there's no electricity. Me as a developer, You know, anytime a developer is getting to develop somewhere, you normally start with targeting the market and the amount you want to sell your house. So you'll get a land that when you do your calculation, you'll be able to sell that house at a price, let's say less than 5 million, less than 4 million. So if you find that there is no water, there is no electricity, there is no road, there are no roads, you as a developer, you will develop the roads. But now the cost will be transferred to the owner or to the buyer. So the government, once the government does that, the county government plays the key role of developing the roads, the electricity and water. Developers will have easy time to do their work. They will develop those houses at affordable prices, and it will be easier for them, for the buyer to buy, and the bust or the bubble bust control.
No, I get it. I get it. Gentlemen, what would you, in your positions right now, advise the buyers and renters? Is there anything that they should do? And is there anything owners and landlords should do in this context of the real estate bubble burst? What would you advise people on both ends of the spectrum, of the housing spectrum, owners and renters? Let's start perhaps with what you would advise buyers to do. Hello?
Yeah, personally talking as a developer, I would urge, or less I would advise buyers to buy houses, but also buy affordable houses. Because for instance, if you are buying a house for investment, buy a house that you know most people can afford. If you decide to rent a house, if you buy a house that is less than 4 million or less than 6 million, if you want to rent out that house, it will be below 50,000. It will be 50,000 and below. So even if you are looking for someone to rent, it will be easier for you to buy. I mean, to get someone to rent that house. But for instance, if you buy a house that is going for 20 million, to get someone who will afford that house, for you to get back your money, it will take you some time. So I think for the buyers, let's buy houses that are affordable. I'm not saying you buy from Mahiga Homes, or less I would say so, but let's buy houses that are affordable. To the buyers, I think those people who want to develop, or those people, I mean, not the buyers, but sellers, those people who are selling houses, those people who are developing, develop in areas that you know will be accessible to most people, or less will be affordable to most people. Let's have a good target on the Kenyans that we want to own our homes, or less we want to sell to people. Let's have a good target and target people knowing that they can use this channel, they can get a loan to finance the houses that we are selling to them. Let's look for their needs, what they need most, how they will get the money that you want them to give you. Yes, that's my advice.
Okay. Okay. Charles?
Well, my advice is go for houses that you can afford. Consequences of meet requirements of purchasing a house will come at the door. So maybe money or a house near the road you can afford and get yourself comfortably. To the please create partnership with county government that they can you under some conditions that you provide housing for the public, for the civil service, and these houses are going that you have not included the president's agenda of housing.
Got it. Onesmus?
Okay, to the buyers, I can say that you can pick a payment plan from companies that you can afford. Don't pick a payment plan that you know you can't achieve, because at the end of the day, you lose everything. You lose the house, and even you'll find that you lose the money that you have already invested. So when you are looking for a house, make sure you are looking for a payment plan that you yourself can afford. And for the sellers, what I can say is that look for an affordable place, not a place that people cannot afford. Build home at affordable places. Look for places you can develop in the outskirts of the town, not necessarily in towns, in the outskirts. Those places just need just a small boost, and they grow into towns that people cannot believe. Like if you visited Ruiro, we had a project there a few months ago. Our first project was going at a way less amount compared to now. So in the outskirts, you can find that it just needs you to invest, and people will come looking for you because they just need you to be there. So for the investors and the tenants, just build houses that the buyers can afford, not necessarily in towns, in the outskirts.
I got you. And the other thing that I'd like to add is buy off plan. If you're buying, buy off plan, because usually it is so much cheaper. And be patient. Keep topping up your deposits as the developer develops. So by the time you're being handed over the house, if you're going to borrow, you'll be borrowing a smaller amount, and the smaller the amount, the lower your payment. So it does help. Panelists and my fellow moderator, I have to bring this to an end because we are way beyond an hour. Mangia can hear you. Yes?
Yes. I also had 2 points. I was waiting for you to ask me, and then I thought you just went straight ahead. I have 2 points, to help, because the housing bubble actually affects homeowners. Either you buy or you build, it affects a homeowner. And I have just 2 points to help you actually don't get caught in the housing bubble. Number one is actually to avoid it at all costs. Just don't buy or just avoid it. Number two is make a deposit, a huge deposit at the start, because that one will actually offset your payment plan. Even if the housing bubble comes in, you actually won't be in trouble with the banks or with the rates. So you'll actually be safe. So put a huge deposit as to offset your payment plan. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Nice. And if you're looking for affordable housing, guys, check out Mahiga Homes online. They have options, and you may want to just explore what they have. Talk to Max and Onesmus and let them tell you what plans they have in the near future. Yeah. So panelists, thank you very much for pitching. Thank you for giving us your insights. If we call on you again, because the matter of the real estate bubble burst is so huge that we probably have not exhausted it yet. And if we get, and we're still looking for people to discuss this matter. So if we get another panelist that wants to add in their voice, and we want to challenge all these concepts that you're progressing, please pitch and come and share your opinion with us so that we can educate our members and our citizens about the goings on in the building and construction space. So I take this opportunity to thank you very much for pitching. Thank you, members, for watching. It was a long one, but hey, this is a very, very, very important subject matter. Thank you, Mahiga Homes, and to our resident advocate, Advocate Ndegwa Charles Mwangi. Thank you very much for pitching. Builders, keep building, and God bless you.
Yeah. We are still live, so do you want to do some housekeeping? I think you forgot that part. Okay.
No, I did say I did speak about the YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Secondly, I did speak about the page. Please like it, because we are going to be posting some videos. They are not live videos, but recordings from homeowners and so on and so forth. Thirdly, please, if you're not a member of the Glam My Home, a page, a group that is by builders and co-creators. There are several. Please look for the one that is a page or a group by builders and co-creators. Please click there. Soon we will begin to share with you a lot of interior decoration and finishing and soft furnishing sort of, discussions and concepts. The other thing is that we have room for advertisement. So if you are in the building and construction industry and you'd like us to share with people your story, or you'd like to sell a product, or you'd like us to just have your narrative going out there, call us. Our numbers are mine are 0705 640 667, and Mwangi's is
0723 146 810. Yeah, and then
nice.
to reiterate on the YouTube part, we are also live on YouTube. You can actually subscribe so that every time we go live, you get a notification and you can just tune in from YouTube or our Facebook page.
Yeah, correct. So if you subscribe, YouTube will actually, because we are live there as well, and these are the things that we're working on while we were away, they can actually alert you that we are on, and you can come on and watch us live and ask us questions. So without extending this way, beyond the 1 hour, we're already at 1 hour and 15 minutes. Thank you, builders. Keep building, keep paying your fundis. I'm passionate about people not paying their fundis. So please keep doing that. Keep showing progress. Discuss with us and engage us. And God bless you.
God bless you. Have a fantastic night. See you on Thursday.
On Monday.